Hey everybody. It's really early. Look at my face. But thank you for joining me if you've joined me. And thank you for those of you who will watch the replay. Just let me know you're here. Send me a chat. I am using a third party app. Sometimes I don't see the chat. So just let me know if you're here and if you have questions, jot them down as we go through because we're not going to be here long. And then at the end, I'll be happy to answer the questions. Okay. So I'm not as well lit because I'm getting shadow in the background that I don't love. So we'll sort it out for tomorrow. So today is day one of the 7-day high growth entrepreneurship challenge. And let's talk about why I'm doing this challenge. Now, Coaching by Tamu, which is the entrepreneurial arm of my umbrella venture, which is innovative education and training, was created because I realized that there was a gap in the space of entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship training. And so most people were tackling entrepreneurship from the perspective of being small, being micro, you know, everything was about just remaining small. And I had done some significant academic work on growth based ventures, albeit in the United States space, but specifically when it comes to Black women and how they navigate high growth. And so I began with this idea of creating programming around moving people to six figures. That's always been my goal, right? And when I launched my first Level Up Ladies accelerator, we're 4 years in now. I had just made my first six figures, and I thought it was only fitting that we move people along. And since then, 4 years in, I've had many uh, people that come to me, especially in Level Up Ladies, who have made sometimes a quarter million, sometimes $400,000 in revenue. So we're not speaking profit. And now we're at a different place, right? Now I'm at the place where I really want to get into the meat of my actual mission, which is high growth entrepreneurship. And so high growth entrepreneurship goes well beyond the revenue figure. Right? And so I think that, beginning now, I think the ecosystem is primed, and that I know for a fact there are women and men. Coaching by Tamu does work with men, but primarily women who are focused on that journey, right? And so I'm here to take that journey with you, also to guide you based on my experiences, my studies, etc. Okay? Now let's talk about what exactly is high growth entrepreneurship. I feel like that is a necessary discussion. So let's talk about what that is. Let me know if you can still see me because I've moved to my notes. So let me know if you can still see me. Just let me know in the chat. Oh, I should go here as well. And I believe I'm not sure if I'm on Facebook Live today, but I'll be on Facebook Live tomorrow. So, in terms of what is the definition of high growth entrepreneurship, which I think is important so that you understand what I'm actually attempting to do, and that when you look at the space in the Caribbean, particularly for female entrepreneurs, you can see that we are really lagging behind when it comes to high growth entrepreneurship. So, HGE or high growth entrepreneurship refers to a specific category of business that exhibits significant growth in terms of employment or turnover. So, let's look at some criteria that are used to ascertain if a business is high growth or not. So, high growth ventures tend to achieve an annual growth rate of more than 20%. So, let me know if that's you. Also, you tend to have more than 10 employees. Now, of course, these definitions are um, global definitions, but we intend to become global players if you're not a global player already. Then we want to look at the impact on the economy. So, high growth entrepreneurship or high growth ventures have much more impact than regular MSMEs on job creation and economic development. Now, this is really important. Another criterion is that of the founders of high growth entrepreneurship ventures. Okay. So they share particular traits. Some of those traits include higher education levels, but I would want to temper that. I mean, that's the data, right? But I would want to temper that with just really high skilled individuals. So if you are a master in your field, whether you have a degree or not, then you can become high growth. Now, when they speak to higher education, they're really speaking to if you have at least secondary, tertiary education, right? So that might even be community college, etc., or you have attended skills training, vocational qualifications, that sort of thing. That is suitable for our region. Okay, so I'm reframing that. And the founders of high growth ventures, they are ambitious, they have a growth aspirations, obviously, and their aim is to continue to grow, right? Measured by revenue and employee number. And they also want to have regional influence. So, this is another characteristic of high growth entrepreneurship. So, this is really important to understand because when I speak of high growth entrepreneurship, I want people to know what exactly we are speaking about. Yeah. Okay, and how that is different to what is happening in terms of training in this specific entrepreneurship space that is the Caribbean region. Okay. So if you consider that that is the definition of high growth entrepreneurship, then you understand that we do have some ways to go. And that is why I created the high growth entrepreneurship roadmap. It was to capture the entrepreneurs who required a framework to do the type of business that we were talking about, right? So it's not just about, having, doing business in a particular way. And it's not just about your revenues. It's about your mindset. It's about your team size. Though I think because now we have AI and a lot more tech, you can get away with fewer team members. But still, it's about that. It's about growth. And so that requires capital. And it's about your influence or your footprint in the space, right? And so we are looking for regional and global influence. All right. So back to my notes. So I have a challenge question for you. Let me write my challenge question on the screen. So let me do that. So the challenge question for you, right? I know most of you are sleeping. I myself am sleepy. All right. So the challenge question for you, or the challenge action, because this is a challenge, the challenge action for you is to write down, right, your vision for your high growth business, given the characteristics that I've just defined, right? What's its eventual footprint? And where do you so that means where do you conduct business? So your challenge is to write, but let me actually say to visualize first, then write or draw. You know, I was a teacher, so different outputs, right? Your high growth venture. Okay. So what characteristics? How does it look? Where is it located? Okay. So all of these things we want to think about. All right. So let me share that on the screen. All right. So this is your first challenge. Now that you actually understand what a high growth venture is. Yeah. Okay. We want to then envision what our venture would look like if it fit the category of a high growth venture. So, where is your footprint? Where are you doing business? It means that you're doing business in multiple countries, okay? And if you're doing that already, kudos. But if you're doing that already, is your growth rate at or near that 20%? Yeah? Now, when you work with me, I like to tell people, let's try double. Let's try double and triple revenue in terms of growth revenue. So you should be at more than that 20%. Okay. What is the impact that you're having on the economy? Right. And I think we can also talk about environment, etc., and sustainability because that has become more and more relevant. Okay. So today we're actually talking about our focus is the high growth entrepreneurship mindset. Now, given the definition of what is a high growth entrepreneur venture, I think that most of you who come on the call or watch the replay, right, will realize that your mindset is going to have to shift. Your mindset is going to have to shift. If indeed you intend to have these growth ambitions. Now, let me share some findings or, well, some important elements. And I'm sharing these from my Yeah, I'm sharing these from my doctoral work, okay? Just some things for you to take note of, especially as a female entrepreneur. Now, these findings are global. So, this applies to women and particularly Black or brown women, any woman who feels they're underrepresented, or I don't like to use the word minority, but you get what I mean. So let's talk about it. So, findings: women are underrepresented in high growth industries such as tech, biotech, manufacturing, etc. Okay? Construction, so on, so forth. Okay. Another piece of data that might be interesting for you is that um, women tend to be in the lower growth sectors because the requirements of capital to enter high growth industries, it's quite a lot, right? But there is a high risk aversion for female entrepreneurs. Why? Because the data also shows that we are less likely to borrow or to seek out capital. It could be equity, could be, that sort of capital. And so we remain undercapitalized. And if you're undercapitalized, it's difficult to uh, be high growth or share in the characteristics. Now, remember, you're not cherry picking the characteristics. Together is they combined. That's what creates, or that is what determines if your venture is high growth or not. Okay. So, high risk aversion is one of the explanations why there is a paucity or dearth, which just means few, right? Women in high growth entrepreneurship. Now, when we talk about mindset, I want to focus on some specific findings, right? And these are findings by myself, and these are findings by other uh, researchers in this female entrepreneurship space. And one of the findings is, and I'll read it, right? And this is Bolanova et al., which means, and the others on the research paper. They found a positive correlation between a female entrepreneur's degree of self efficacy and growth aspirations in women who were in high growth entrepreneurship. So, what does that mean? Means that for a woman to be successfully engaged in a high growth venture, they have to exhibit high growth aspirations. And I know if you're listening to this, you've already checked that box off, and a high degree of self efficacy. Now, self efficacy is different to confidence, it is not the same thing. Self efficacy speaks specifically to one's perception of one's prowess, right, in a specific field of work, right? So, how knowledgeable are you? How skilled are you? Are you positive you can play at the top of your game in a specific discipline? Okay. Now, there's another study, and I'll tell you, there are few studies on women in high growth ventures, and that's because there are few women in high growth ventures. But yet another study, 165 women in technology, biotech, and the finding was that these women possessed what? High self efficacy and a strong discover mindset, which heightened opportunity perception. So, what is the opportunity in the marketplace that will allow us to, or that we can capitalize on, right, in order to begin to build high growth ventures? So, it was not enough. So, we're layering. First, it was about self efficacy and growth mindset. But now we're layering on top of that. And the woman in high growth entrepreneurship has a discovery mindset. So when we're talking about mindset, mindset is not just about, yes, it's about self perception, right? That's efficacy, perception of your expertise level. It's about growth orientation. You are ambitious, you want to grow. But now we're layering more nuance and we're talking about heightened opportunity perception. So, a high growth venture CEO knows what's coming, sees opportunity, which is why you will have a regional or global footprint. And that is part of the high growth mindset. The idea that you are unafraid to begin to do business in other spaces. So it is a whole mental shift and a new lens or way of seeing entrepreneurship. In the region, we tend to settle just on the self efficacy. Like, I'm really good at this. I'm really great at me teaching. I'm really great at curriculum design. I'm really great at hairdressing. I'm really great at art. I'm really great at making things with my hands, candles, soaps. I'm really great at formulation. That's great. But what about the opportunity perception? How can you be first to market in a space in your industry, for example? All right. And so self efficacy, growth orientation, and discovery mindset are prerequisites for high growth entrepreneurship. So it means that you have to get your mind right. So it's not just about selling many things, which it's fine if that's what you want to do. But it's really time, I believe, for us to, and I say us because I'm in here with you, right? To build real businesses, businesses that don't depend on us, businesses that can run on their own, businesses that provide significant employment, businesses that have a significant impact on the economy, right? And I always say, remember that every big business started small. So every high growth venture started small. So the question is, do you really want to take a look at your venture? Yeah. Do you want to take a look at your venture? And do you want to do some repositioning? Yeah. Do you want to do some repositioning? Now, the challenge for you, because this is an action, right? It's a challenge. Okay. So, one of the other challenge I have for you is how can you reinforce your growth mindset? How? Yeah. How can you do that? So, the challenge is to write down what are some ways that you can expand your growth mindset. So I know you probably think you already have a growth mindset, right? But given the context, you know, we need to level it up. So write down, I'm going to say 3 ways that you can expand. Yeah, I like that word. Your growth mindset. All right. So there it is on the ticker. That's your challenge. So you had 2 challenges for today. Now, as we close, I'd like to talk about what I continue to do in the entrepreneurship ecosystem space, which is to co-create with female entrepreneurs, right? So that they can build. First, it was scale their businesses. So if you've been with me, you're ready, right? And now it's a framework for building high growth ventures. Yeah, being a true on mogul in the global sense of the term. And so I do have the high growth entrepreneurship roadmap action and accountability program coming up in January of 2025. We will be using my high growth entrepreneurship roadmap, and we'll be moving through these steps every other month, right? Live. But what's exciting is it's co working. So we're going to actually be doing once I do my coaching by Tamu thing, right? We've debriefed, we've held one another accountable. We're going to be doing co working. So we're actually going to be working in session, helping each other on specific elements, right? Depending on the theme or topic. So, for instance, let's say in month one, we're going to be revising your value proposition. Why? Because obviously, if you've listened today, you cannot become a high growth venture doing what you are doing now. Yeah. hmm and so we're actually going to work in session and we are going to revise those propositions. And even if you did a her workshop with me, right, you need to still revise again in order to build that high growth venture. So we'll be peering off in breakout rooms. We'll be doing upvoting, etc., as you apply the components learned in the first half of the session to the second half of the session. And you can join me from anywhere in the world because it is virtual. If you happen to miss a class, don't worry. Dr. Tamu, everything for me is automated and you will receive your replay and you'll be able to catch up and work on your own. All right. So if you go to tamubrown.com, Mhm. Right? If you go to tamobrown.com, I'm looking for it here on the ticker. Yeah. Or the link in the description of YouTube in particular, or send me a message. You're going to see that the program has its own landing page. You can listen to me talk about the program. You could read about what's happening month by month in the program. It is my most affordable program. And oh, yes, I forgot. Um, I have a 47 US dollar discount. So you can be with me for 6 whole months, right? We're doing every other month, right? With a special session in December. So you'll be with me for the whole of 2025 and with other amazing entrepreneurs. Yeah, right? All moving towards building high growth ventures, right? And today, Monday, yeah, today's Monday, December 2nd, you have until midnight. I'll give you until midnight EST. So which is actually 1 a.m. Tuesday if you're in like the OECS region or and most of the Caribbean region, right? 1 a.m. AST to snag your Thanksgiving weekend or Cyber Monday discount. Yeah. And so you get a deep discount, 47 US dollars off. And so you're paying just 100 US, investing just 100 US. Why so affordable? Because we're on the journey together. I'm actually working through my roadmap ahead of you so that once I enter the space, I can, talk about some of my challenges, etc., and guide you. But I'm a wonderful guide anyway. So thank you for joining me this early. Thank you for watching the replay. Now, if you're on the replay, okay, ask the questions that you have. I will go back down, right, in the chat, in the comments, and I will endeavor to respond to all, if not most, comments. So by day two, tomorrow we are looking at one of the most important roadmap steps. Let me just make sure I'm getting it right. Yes. So, day two, we're going to talk about refining your value proposition, why that is important. I've already hinted at it today. What is a value proposition? What might a high growth value proposition look like? Okay. And so that's what we'll be talking together. So it's been a great half an hour with you. So if you're just popping on, we're done because it's just half an hour at this time in the morning. All right. So bye. Look out for time changes because I want more interaction. And so I probably will change the time. All right. Bye, everyone.